service authorities across Australia. Lanco Group is known for delivering sustainable, efficient solutions. By working closely with clients, Lanco Group is able to meet the complex infrastructure requirements for residential, commercial and industrial developments on time, on budget. Find out more at lancogroup.com.au. Lanco Group, your business partner for engineering solutions.
Ever wanted a career in football? At the Global Institute of Sport, you can now study a master's degree in football business or football coaching and analysis right here in Australia. GIS is the largest provider of sports degrees in the UK, with campuses at Wembley and Etihad Stadium. Learn online with unique access to the iconic MCG and a big-hitting Australian industry network. Be one of the first Australians to get a football master's degree and join GIS's global network of football leaders. Apply now to start in February 2023. Learn more at gis.sport/FNR. That's gis.sport/FNR.
Are you looking to change your destiny in life? Be your own boss? Start your own business? If you are, you need people who understand your needs and are committed to helping you make it happen. At DKP & Co Chartered Accountants, we are more than just accountants. We are business advisors, taxation consultants and strategists that specialise in...
You thought I forgot about you, didn't you? You thought I forgot about you, didn't you? Atacare!
This isn't that channel that's always presets into your car. The opera channel that's always the preset.
I thought this was ABC Classic, but good to be here anyway. After a very exciting weekend of European football and ahead of an even better one that's coming up this weekend.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Well, yes, you are listening to the Euro Show here on FNR Football Nation Radio. Nick Devano, Lockie Flanagan. There's only a couple more weeks of European football this season. It's been a big year. The first real season of normality in quite some time. I mean, elements of normality in amongst the COVID situation, but with fans back in the stadiums and everything else, we're getting to the crescendo of what's been some enthralling seasons all around the continent. Today on the show, obviously, with no EPL show, we will talk about the Premier League title race and also, and a little bit about the relegation battle as well. But the only other Serie A title race, I've given a spoiler. The other title race that is going is in the Serie A. Milan and Inter still going head to head. We did say it's looking likely that it's going to the final day. And well, it sure is, ladies and gentlemen. It will go right down to the wire after Milan and Inter both won this morning. But also we will talk a little bit about Ange. She's wrapped up the Scottish Premier League title. We'll look ahead to this weekend and this week. We've got the Europa League final this week. We've got some big Premier League fixtures. And we've also got, well, on top of all that, the Scottish Cup final too.
Oh boy.
Hearts versus Rangers.
So looking forward to that. I'm going to the Imp.
What time?
12 o'clock, Saturday night. 12 a.m. Saturday night. Hearts supporters in Melbourne, if you are listening, I'm probably just speaking to myself here, but we will be at the Imperial that evening, the Hearts fans. We've got our own little room, a projector.
Do you need a book?
No, I think you can come down on the evening. I'll double check that. But anyone who's just interested, even if you're not a Hearts fan, if you're an anti-Rangers fan, if you're just anything except Rangers, and that's what you're there for, come on down because it will be a very fun night, and I will be there. Nick may also be there.
I was about to say, you're twisting my arms very slightly.
If you want the chance to meet some of these FNR faces in the flesh, which maybe disappointing. But anyway, you can do it this Saturday night. At least one will be there. Maybe not an exciting one, but one nonetheless.
Well, we'll see what happens. I mean, I've got work that night because that is the Victory Western United second leg, and that's at 5 o'clock. So barring it doesn't go to extra time, barring I get out at a godly hour.
Knowing the extra interviews you do come finals time, it will be cutting it close.
Well, I didn't get out of Amy Park on Saturday until 1. I didn't get home until after 1 a.m. It was a late night because, we had press conferences and we had to wait for Jamie Young to get out of his ice bath and come in and do the presser, and then you go back, you file.
And you'd have quite a lot of dead time in between press guys. You know what you could do during that dead time, Nick, if you were savvy? You could have enrolled for a course at GIS.
Yes, absolutely right. Well, this show is brought to you by the Global Institute of Sport, GIS. Now, what is GIS? You want to know more about GIS? Well, if you haven't heard the ads, they are the global leader in sport. Obviously you can launch your global career in the football industry if you head over there, study a master's degree in football business or their new course in football coaching and analysis. And if you're based in Australia or based in Melbourne, even better, you can do the course right here at the MCG. But if you're based abroad, if you're one of the listeners...
And if you are planning to move abroad as well, if that's something that interests you.
Yeah, if you're looking to move to the UK, you can... It might be moved to Manchester. Great. You can do it at Etihad Stadium. But if you're planning to move to London, what better place than doing it at the home of English football, Wembley Stadium?
Yeah, and it's the perfect opportunity to do, since my introduction into the show, my now weekly Tom Fluker Barker update as well. Tom, a former FNR employee and a GIS graduate, whose own journey you could very much mirror if you wanted to be a part of GIS. He posted a little Instagram story yesterday,
I
Nick,
did see that.
from Castleberry Park in just near Watford, so in the north of London. And it looked beautiful.
It did.
That could be the kind of park that you, dear listener or viewer, could stroll through on your Sunday when you've got the day off from your classes at JS.
Yeah, go have a picnic.
It's not that far up from Wembley, catch the train up there.
Yeah, it's the right time of the year. We're heading into the European summer. This is a great time to be heading over to Europe, but...
We might be heading into a Milan summer as well.
Oh, Nick. Absolutely. But if you want to know more, head over to gis.sport/FNR. Apply now and you can start. Unfortunately, applications for this summer are over, but you can look towards next year, February 2023. All applications are open. So head over to gis.sport/FNR for more information. But Lockie, you teased it. It's definitely going to be a Milan summer. But will it be a red Milan summer or a blue Milan summer? That's the question.
It's a Milan summer, but for who, Chris Kamara?
Maybe, but for who, Tiziano Crudeli?
Yeah.
But this morning was enthralling, to say the least. Milan and Atalanta kicked off sort of the smorgasbord of action. They were on at 2 a.m. Melbourne time. Beautiful day in Milan. It was a really warm day. There were 200,000 requests for tickets. Now, the Sun Citadel only fits 75,000 under their revised capacity. So think about it. It was filled to the brim. Milan fans tried to do a bit of what Melbourne Victory fans did with the City fans the other day and use the away team member codes. But the Sun Citadel ticketing agency was savvy to it, and they forced the Milan fans to. They actually took the tickets away from them and said, no, we have to give them to the Atalanta fans. We have to be fair. They're still playing for something, albeit it's only Europa League. It's still something. You have to make it somewhat fair.
I'm very glad you brought that up because my next question was going to be, of that 200,000 that applied, what percentage of that were Inter fans trying to run interference? It was an unintended pun, interference.
Actually, no, they weren't Inter fans. They were Milan fans. They were just Milan fans wanting to steal the away fans' ticket to make it 100% Milan, AC Milan supporters.
Okay, that's even better.
And when they were panning through the crowd last night, I just looked at every single one of them and went, you're lucky, you're lucky, you're lucky, because it's like getting the golden ticket for this situation. It's like getting a grand final ticket back here. So it was set up to be a blockbuster game. Milan's last home game of the season against a local rival, Atalanta being in Bergamo, very close to Milan.
They've played in the San Siro as their home.
Yes, a game that you actually saw. Can't believe you went to the San Siro before me. But anyways, that's a topic for another day.
Let's not fight on it.
No. Anyways, so there was a lot riding on this game because, quite frankly, Milan wins. It forces Inter into having to win in Sardinia later in the day. A loss, it opens up the door for Inter to leapfrog them. A draw, well, Milan's still in control of their destiny, but it makes things very tight on the final day. Now, in the first half, it was looking very much like we were heading for a 0-0 draw. It was a very tight game.
Tense.
It was open, but there weren't many chances. The final ball was letting down for both teams. But after halftime, the game exploded. And the first goal from Rafael Leao, and it just had to be Rafael Leao. The counterattack starting from what could have easily been a foul.
Well, I was going to...
Yes.
Yeah, I was going to say
It's a bit of a stroke of fortune because, as I've said plenty of times on this show, Milan have been on the raw end of some terrible refereeing decisions. Their last loss against Spezia, if you remember, when the game was 1-1, Macias scored, but then they didn't pay the advantage, so it came back for a free kick.
Yeah.
And from the resulting free kick, Spezia went up the other way and scored the winner.
Maybe this is a case of the universe balancing itself out. I have to say, on first viewing, when Kalulu, because it's kind of a weird one because he overcommits before Pessina kind of receives the ball. He gets his positioning wrong and sort of has to readjust after he's made the initial error. And it would be very... Pessina made the most of the contact, that's for sure. There wasn't really a tangle of legs as much as there was a sort of coming through the back of, Pessina by Kalulu. Referee could have very easily punished his, initial overcommitting and then the contact. But I think he eventually sided with the idea or the notion that Pessina made the most of what was there and maybe a little bit too much relative to the actual contact. And I must say, watching it back right before this show on like 0.25 speed on the YouTube highlights, I think it was the right call.
Yeah, I look. They thoroughly checked it on the VAR afterwards, and Daniele Del Sato said no.
And if there was a tangle of legs between the two players, because Kalulu has his leg out but doesn't actually collect Pessina with that leg at all, if that was the coming together, then yeah, sure, absolutely. But it was just the two bodies that collided with one another, and Pessina was going down as soon as he felt the contact. Like it was instantaneous. So it was controversial. Yeah, I thought there was maybe a similar controversial decision in the Inter game that we can talk about as well.
We can.
But I think it was probably the right call. And you mentioned the finish from Rafa. Of course, it had to be him. But what a ball over
from
the
Junior
top
Macias.
From Macias.
Like the little dink, just chip the ball up for him.
We were talking about all the money ball players that Milan have brought in over the years last week, and Macias was the
Macias
last
is the ultimate money ball signing, but
it was a money ball that he played over the top for Rafa.
Well, Macias, everyone's heard his story about coming from being delivering boxes only a few years ago, playing amateur on the streets of Italy, to making this rags to riches story through his time in the lower leagues and Crotone last season. For him personally, though, it's a big moment for him because he is battling for a permanent deal. Being honest here, there's a big chance that deal might not get redeemed, and Crotone just got relegated to Serie C. So they've been relegated to the third tier of Italian football, and there's an $11 million redemption on that. So it's big money for Crotone if it goes ahead. But Milan, with their ambitions, it's a tough one to see Macias sticking around. But it was a great ball over the top from him. Leao, that finish was beautiful. A lovely sort of just sliced the ball through the legs of the goalkeeper. And from there on, it looked like Milan were just in control.
Well, that finish from Rafael was good. The second goal, though.
Oh, my God.
The second goal from Theo Hernandez.
I'll give you a bit of context about this goal. So my brother and I got up and watched this game, and we were giving strict orders. Don't be too loud, just for the sake of the other people sleeping in the house, but also for the sake of also for our neighbours, because we've had a few complaints before about that. So
really?
Yeah. In the past.
God.
We live in the townhouse, so, the walls... There's
crikey me. I wonder what my
it gets.
I wonder what the other tenants of my apartment block must think when I watch Hearts games. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, well, I was getting complaints from Milan. I don't know what they'd be thinking if they heard me during a Collingwood game. But anyways, when there was a period in that second half after that where Atalanta started pushing for an equaliser and was getting a bit nervy. They brought Duvan Zapata on. They brought Malinovsky on. And I was thinking, this is getting a bit tight. Like, we don't want to be sitting back.
Because Zapata had that very good chance.
Yes, he did. He did. And that was very lucky that didn't go anywhere towards the goal. But Theo Hernandez, that whole play, it started off Rade Krunic. Now, kudos to this man. Talking about out of nowhere, sort of making the most of his opportunity in the last 2 weeks. He has been brilliant. He's not flashy, even though he called himself a Kevin De Bruyne-like player when he signed for AC Milan.
Wow.
To take the nickname now as the Bosnian Kevin De Bruyne.
Goodness me.
He's much maligned by Milan fans as a bit of a whipping boy, along with Samu, along with a few others. He's in that bracket. But with Brahim Diaz out of form, with, Pioli reverting to not starting his Malbenis there and playing Kessie further up, but decides to go with Krunic, a Stefano Pioli player, no fuss, runs all day, gets challenges in. His final ball isn't great, but he runs. He runs and he runs and he runs and he runs. In the lead up to that goal, the inch-perfect tackle.
It was brilliant.
To win that ball. And that was the second time he did that in the second half, that to just disrupt the play. To then let Teo Hernandez, who got the ball. Now, Teo Hernandez is one of the quickest players in world football. And in that one passage where he picks up the ball, it's like he was just jogging. He was getting closer. He's like, okay, if I can get past Koopmeiners here. Now, poor Koopmeiners already been burnt by Rafael Leao.
Yeah, well, he would have been on a card at the time as well, yeah.
He was on an island with Teo Hernandez, and Teo Hernandez just went, you know what? This is like a straight in Formula One. I've got an opportunity to overtake here. I'm going to go for P4. And he went for it, and he burnt past him. But then he had about 3 defenders around him in close proximity. The ability from a left back to have that precise dribbling, to take on 3 players, to then get past the 3, and then put the ball back across the face of goal right into the bottom corner.
Yeah.
For context, he got the ball on at the edge of the Atalanta box and made it all the way to the Milan box and scored. I was like whispering, screaming, and you're like, going, come on. Like, I was saying, like, play it, like, please play it. And then he shot, and it was like, oh my God, he's actually done it.
Well, this is the funny thing about watching that goal for me as someone who isn't as invested in Milan scoring from every single drive. It was quite an odd one, because when he receives picks up the ball off the slide tackle from Krunic, he's got so much space in the middle third of the park that, he was jogging, but he didn't really need to do anything else other than just kind of, like, I think even he didn't know what was going to sort of end up being the final outcome, because he was kind of just like taking a few 4-5 steps forward. I'll kick it a few meters ahead. Yeah. He almost looked through the middle third. I was convinced that nothing was going to come off it, because going through the middle third of the park
is so risky.
And also the way he was just like kicking and running and no attempt to shimmy or anything. Yeah. He looked like Rebic.
Yeah.
He looked like Rebic running through the middle. And I was like, oh dear, he is going to run into the first defender that gives him any pressure. But then once he got into the final third, there was no Ante Rebic to be found. That was gone.
If that was Rebic, that was going miles over the bar.
Yeah, and then the little shake to the left and then the finish.
Well,
that was unbelievable.
I was screaming, saying, play it to Rebic, because he was presenting. It was like, because I thought if he lose possession, we're done on the counter. Like, we are done on the counter here. Yeah, this game's way too open. Atalanta are going to kill us off the break. But the fact you have to either get that shot on target or you're winning a corner. If you're a fullback and you're getting in those areas, the last thing you want to be doing is turning the ball over, because against a team like Atalanta, they're going to make you pay. So when he got in that area to shoot, if anyone's watched Teo Hernandez over the last, he's been at Milan, this is his 3rd season. He's one of the best attacking fullbacks in the world for that reason. And I remember for a long time, I used to really roll up Nick Hughes by saying Teo Hernandez is the best left back in the world. This was a while ago.
We all know it's Kieran Tierney.
I have to say, Teo Hernandez is not far off Andy Robertson right now. Let's take the Liverpool Premier League bias hat off here, because they're probably people who look at it through the lens of the Premier League. This is not taking anything away from Andy Robertson. It's not taking anything away from Kieran Tierney. It's not taking anything away from the FIFA merchants who love David Alaba for so long. But Teo Hernandez needs to get his roses. He needs to get the credit he deserves. And unfortunately, because he plays in Serie A, if he played for Manchester United, or he played for City, or if he played for Liverpool, or even if he played for PSG or Real Madrid, I can go all day about teams he could play for. People would be saying this guy is the best left back in the world, mainly because you'd have the younger audience saying, look at this guy on FIFA. He's got 95 pace. He can shoot as well. He's an absolute star. We've all been there. I remember in high school when David Alaba burst onto the scene. It was like, who is this guy? He's a freak. People would probably think the same about Teo Hernandez. This guy went into the France lineup in the Nations League, made his debut, and his impact was basically transformative.
Well, you were left there to wonder why had it taken him so long
when
to
you have
feature in
Adrien
the first
Rabiot
place.
starting at left wing back in that game where they got eliminated against Switzerland at the Euros.
Yeah.
This guy is an unbelievable player, and the best thing about it is he's committed his future to Milan until 2026. He's a guy that is settled at Milan. He has taken the next step, and there's a chip on his shoulder with him. He's a ex-Real Madrid player. He got culled. Madrid didn't want him. He said, well, you're behind Marcelo, you're behind, well, they end up signing, I think it's Fela Mendy now, at left back, So there is a chip on his shoulder. There's a chip on his shoulder because he didn't get picked for the Euro squad. There's a chip on his shoulder. It's taken him so long to get in the France team. This guy plays high-octane football, all systems go all the time. It can be very dangerous when you're playing off the break, but there are not many fullbacks, left or right back in the world, that have the same impact in attack. Defensively, there are moments he's not great. But going forward, he is, and I'm going to say it, he is the best at that in the entire world.
Yeah, I mean,
with his output, when you look at his goals, his assists.
Maybe this is a consequence of me watching slightly less Premier League this season than years gone by. But I would struggle to think of a time in recent memory where Andy Robertson certainly provides a lot on the attacking end, but has scored a goal like that.
That's Trent Alexander-Arnold kind. Yeah. If anyone, that's Trent.
That's exactly.
And I think if anyone attacking-wise who has a similar output, is Trent Alexander-Arnold.
Yeah, make no mistake, Andy Robertson more than capable of bringing things forward and helping the attack. But it's more about contributing for others. So, this, I don't necessarily think he is going to pull out the kind of, come hither, my 10 teammates, let me put you upon my shoulders and I will do this by myself kind of thing.
If you remember when Pioli first signed at Milan, when he first came in, Teo Hernandez was Milan's top goal scorer. They couldn't buy a goal to save themselves unless Teo Hernandez was just saying, fine, I'll do it myself, and literally getting the ball from defence and just going. Or he'd pull out an amazing shot from range. I think he scored almost 10 goals in his first season at Milan, which is unheard of for a left back. And he's only going to get better. He's, I think, 24 years old, which is quite crazy. And to be honest, look, in the end, Milan got the job done. They're 1 point away now from winning it. They play Sassuolo away, which is another very tough game.
It's a tough game. But
again, suits Milan.
I mean, Sassuolo have nothing to play for. But
they're Milan's bogey.
They're solid. They're solidly mid-table, but just because they have nothing to play for, they're still one of those teams that are just capable of surprises. Like, I mean, how many times in recent years have we seen them pull off a shock upset over Juve?
Well, they beat us this season, and they beat Juve.
Beat you as well. Like they are one of the sort of most capable upset kind of sides in this league. So that is maybe a little bit of a concern, but you don't necessarily. I mean, well, you kind of do need to get the win because a draw's enough. A draw's goal difference
head-to-head is how it works in Serie A, head-to-head. So because Milan won the derby and there was a draw in the first one.
Yeah. Well, there you go. You don't even need to win this game. The only disappointing thing for you is that you would have been hoping that on the final day Sampdoria would need to sort of win against Inter to save themselves, but they are now 4 points ahead.
And that was the hope of Cagliari this morning. And let's get into it quickly because it was then on Inter's shoulders. They had to win to stay alive. A draw would have passed the title to Milan. A win as well would have, for Cagliari, would have got them out of the relegation zone as well, but also would have kept Sampdoria right in the mix. A draw would have been enough as well because Cagliari actually have the head-to-head on Sampdoria as well. So when we were watching this game, I was thinking, will the draw be enough? Will the draw be enough? Check the heads out. I'm like, gosh, geez, all right, we're on here. This game was, Inter were too good in every facet of this game. They flexed and they won the Coppa Italia midweek. It was the perfect situation for an upset because they played 120 minutes in midweek. They'd won. You think maybe it's a bit of a hangover, tired bodies, but they did brilliantly. And it was all off the back of Lautaro Martinez. He's had a brilliant end to this season, up to 21 goals now this year after a really lean start. But there was a moment where things got a little bit tight because Martinez made it 2-0 in the second half. And I looked at my brother and I said, I think I'm going to go back to bed. I have to be up. I have to be out soon. I might get a quick nap in. About to get up. Lykoyannis, the Cagliari centre-back, just fires this audacious effort that gets deflected and falls in. And we're thinking, oh, hold on a second. fellas, we're on here. Like, there's a game.
Yeah.
But there was just not enough for Cagliari. Inter were just too strong. Martinez put the game away. In the end, Inter stay alive for another week, just keeping Milan honest right now. It could have been 4. Goal disallowed early from Milan Skriniar. In the end, they got that first goal in the end through Damian. But
I mean, what about that goal? I mean, there were hands in,
Yeah, I think it was a goal.
on top of the shoulders. I think the thing is, he kind of gets up there and gets the header before. He's not using the body of the defender to get himself up. He's already up there, and then it's kind of just...
It's a goal. I'm not going to be sour grapes here. I'm not going to sound like an Inter fan.
I thought I'd just put that little slice of cheese out there so you could jump on it.
I'm playing the diplomatic route right now. Inter were too good. Lautaro Martinez is having an amazing season.
Yeah, I mean, the finish for the second goal was
Madonna mia,
unreal.
beautiful. But
and Cranio made some decent
good saves
as well.
too. It's just disappointing because I thought there was going to be more of a reaction from Cagliari, considering Salernitana had dropped points and there was a good opportunity for them to get out of the relegation zone heading into the final day. So it is a bit disappointing in that aspect as a Milan fan that it didn't go that way. But in terms of for the neutral, this is the best possible result. We've got a relegation battle right to the final day. We've got a title race going right to the final day. We've got a battle for Europa League spots going right down to the final day. It's exciting stuff. And tonight we'll find out, what the time slots are for the final day. It's not like the Premier League where all 10 are on at the same time. They put like the dead rubbers on, earlier in the day.
Get those out.
And then you'd think that they'll save. Well, it's funny because there's a dual thought that I was reading an article that they might not put them on at the same time to bolster ratings. It's a very networks kind of move, like, go double header or like head to head. No, not go head to head, but like go one after the other. Personally, if you're going to do that, give in to the 2 a.m. time slot. I am exhausted today. Like, I am so tired. Like, this is coming from your friends down in Australia in the little pocket on the other side of the world. If you could have some decency, put us at 4:45. Give us the away leg. I want both games on at the same time, though, personally.
The Inter and...
Yeah, I think just in terms of the players' nerves, I think it would be good taking off the Milano and Inter hat here, but looking from a neutral point of view as well.
Oh, it'd be unbelievable.
It'd be unbelievable to have both games on at the same time.
I mean, if you're wanting to look back on this as a moment in like 10 years' time, for example. Yeah. I mean, the reason I'm thinking of this is because it's obviously the 10-year anniversary of the 2011-12 Premier League season, and United and City were level on points that day, but still the reason that moment is remembered so fondly as it is because the games were played at the same time, and United finished slightly earlier. There were extenuating circumstances that led the City game to go into more stoppage time. But like, if you're playing the game separately, and for example, if Milan AC Milan play first, and they've already wrapped it up, well, then Inter's game is boring as all buggery.
Well, it's interesting because John Aloisi was actually talking about simultaneous kickoffs. Because we asked him this in his press conference the other week it was before the Adelaide United game, and we asked him, similar with the title race down here, would you prefer simultaneous kickoffs or when you were a player or as a coach, or would you rather the game spread out? And he was talking about simultaneous kickoffs when he was a player. And he said it's this unreal feeling like when you're a player and you don't have like a phone or, anything in front of you, but you hear the murmurs, you hear it, you hear the chant, the crowd start to arise when a result's going your way. If it's a relegation battle.
Yeah, wasn't there that race. Big cheer in either United or City when they thought like they'd gotten like a false rumour or something of a goal?
And it's happened, you've seen it, like the amount of relegation battles there's been in the Premier League and other leagues where you see it go right down to the final day. And you've got, say for instance, like I think about from when I was a Wigan supporter and, seeing I'll never forget 2011 final day, Wigan stayed up against Stoke and you're hearing results from Bolton, they're and Blackpool as well who are battling and you're watching it on TV and you just hear this, and then like the commentator go, well, it looks like there's a goal, and you see the live table come up. It's exciting.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think
I can't wait for it.
Yeah, and I think to prioritize the ratings this time around, to go for that sort of split to get more eyeballs on it, I think that's short-term thinking.
Very much short-term thinking.
I mean, some extra ratings would be good when it comes to broadcast deal time potentially, but you've also got to keep, and I hate using this word, but I've got to use it. You've got to keep the legacy of the competition in mind, and like we're talking about a Serie A league here that has not had a lot of competitive title races over the last decade. So to have that memory and also the relegation battles mixed in with that too, then you create something that people can look back on, whether it ended well for them or not, as a really special moment. And does the Italian league have a lot of that to call on in the last sort of decade? It does historically, but...
We haven't had a title race like this in a very long time.
Yeah.
Not one that I can just think of off the top of my memory. I think it goes back to maybe like 2009, 2010, like when Inter won it back then. But none of Juve's went to the final day. It was always decided long before that. Like there were times when it was looking close, when Napoli or Roma were testing, but never got to that. Last season, it was decided weeks before that Inter had won the league. This season, though, it couldn't be scripted any better, though. You've got the two Milan teams, like, going for it on the final day. And there's so much riding on this because you think about context, and we spoke about historical results this season, and we spoke about the permutations of individual moments, how it could have swung in roundabouts if it happened. You know, we speak about the Radu mistake. We think about the Tatarasciano penalty save in the derby. We think about how Inter led in the second derby at half-time. They were up 1-0 and Milan came back and won 2-1. There's a lot of things that, you know, when we look back on this, say Milan draw and Inter wins, and we go back on the head-to-head and we think that penalty save from Tatarasciano or that mistake from Radu cost them, you know, the league. Yeah. Cost them the title. Cost Inter a treble. I mean, they've won the Supercoppa. They've won the Coppa Italia. Like, there's the motivation to win the Italian treble.
100%.
There's a lot riding on. I honestly can't wait. I want the drama. Yeah. I want it to go to it.
When you're an old man, one day, Nick, and you want to watch the season 2021-22 documentary, what documentary or just what documentary ending do you want? Do you want this massive drama, everything all is decided simultaneously at the final moment, or do you want, oh, by the way, at the end, Inter choked it before Milan played, so their title was guaranteed? Like, that's not a satisfying documentary ending at all.
Well, look, last season, I'm just going back to last season. I just want to see if I can find if they had simultaneous kickoffs, because last season on the final day, Milan played Atalanta, and that was for a Champions League spot. Now, I'm going to go back into the archives, and I'm just going to see if we had a similar situation where we had the simultaneous kickoffs. So, we obviously had, we did. We had 6 simultaneous kickoffs. Milan playing Atalanta that season, where, for context again, Atalanta and Milan were both battling for Champions Leagues. This is the 2020-21 season. So Milan had to win. Juve had to win. Napoli had to win. Look at how it ended in the end. 79, 78, 78, 77 between those three teams.
I remember that.
And you had on that final day, Napoli, Milan, Juve, all playing at the same time. And Atalanta, of course, as well, playing against Milan. And all these kickoffs were at 4:45 a.m. So the Serie A organisers, look at how successful last year was. I know people couldn't go to games last season. It was very different for a viewer's spectacle. But come on, like, how awesome would it be, you know, having the away Milan fans in Reggio Emilia at the Sassuolo game going bonkers when they find out if Antonio Candreva scores an absolute worldie. Or you have the Inter fans finding out that Scamacca scored a worldie at the other stadium, and there's this sense of nerves that's going around. It would make for great TV. You can go. We're at a technological stage where you can split screen. You can have on the big tally, you can have one game, and on the laptop you can have the other. In the words of Barry Glendenning, we don't need to have these at different times. So you know what? Give me the simultaneous kickoffs. Give it to me. I want to see it. In the words, I'm not going to say I want to see the baby because it's not a baby, but I want to see this on the final day. And hopefully as well, it's the same with the relegation battle too. And
that's really interesting as well, because having a look over it, Cagliari play Venezia.
Yes,
on the final
and Venezia
day.
are down.
Yeah, so that's a really interesting one, because it's one of those results we've seen it happen in years gone by, where you don't know what's going to happen. Like that, you either get that, you know, you get one or the other here. You either get the relegated team who's like, oh, what's the point? You know, it'll wheel out for one final game, get beat 2-0. Oh, hooray, Cagliari is safe. Well done to you guys. Off to Serie B we go. Or you get that galvanized, already relegated team who go, if I'm going down, you are coming down with me. It just grabs Cagliari by the collar and pulls them down to the second division.
Yeah. Now, the situation is, I believe Genoa can stay up with the weirdest of formulas. Now, Salernitana, obviously, they win, they're safe. So, okay, let me have a look how this has to work. So basically, because this isn't updated, I think Genoa might actually now officially be relegated. I'm just trying to find the exact, because I saw Adriano, FNR alum, put up the permutations before the Inter game. So, Genoa have officially been relegated, so that's done. They can't stay up on head-to-head.
Because of their results against Salernitana. Yeah.
So, Cagliari have to beat Venezia to stay up, and Salernitana have to lose against Udinese. Salernitana, now I'm just going to double-check their head-to-head with Cagliari because they drew with them last week. All they need, if they draw and Cagliari wins, Cagliari stays up.
Because of head-to-head.
Because
wow.
Cagliari scored an equaliser against Salernitana last week in the 99th minute. Had they not done that, it could have been very different. It could have gone down a goal difference.
So Salernitana need to win.
They need to win
against Udinese.
And this would be one of the great survival stories if they stay up.
That's incredible.
So
that is incredible.
They are at home against Udinese. They need 3 points. It's going to be crazy.
God, imagine separating those games. That would just be so boring.
So
if they played at the same time, that would be entertainment value.
So just to run your eye just quickly before we go to a break and touch on some the other stuff that's going on. In fifth, we've got Lazio 5th, Roma 6th, Fiorentina 7th and Atalanta 8th. They're all in the battle for Europa League and Conference League spots at the moment. Lazio play Juve tomorrow. That's this round's match, and then they play in the last game Hellas Verona at home, which is not an easy game.
No.
Roma, they drew with Venezia with 46 shots on goal to 3, and it was 1-1. They play Torino away.
No wonder I'm wearing this shirt.
Yeah.
The XG Kings.
Roma play against Torino. Not an easy game on the road for them. Fiorentina in action tomorrow against Sampdoria away. Sampdoria who are now safe. But Fiorentina on the last game, they play Juve. This is Vlahovic's homecoming.
Is he going to start?
Well, Juve's not playing for anything now because their season's done. But, I mean, you got to play him. You'd think so.
I wonder, they didn't have a handshake deal or anything, did they? Or like, you can't play him. It's, sort of like
you're gonna have
lone players can't play against their parent club. It's we've given him to you. Surely don't use him against us.
To quote Ante Jukic, it's Serbian Piotek against actual Piotek this weekend as well. So maybe they're not allowed to play because it's like, they're the same person just with
the combined power of those two players would just...
It would destroy both
like a
teams.
black hole.
A black hole of attack, with both those teams. But nonetheless, stay tuned for next week. Keep an eye out when the fixtures get released and the times and everything for next week. It's going to be a ripper. Can't wait for it. Milan taking on Sassuolo away. Inter against Sampdoria. Title race comes down to this. Lockie, let's take a quick break. Other side of this, we'll go into the Premier League. We've got to wrap up quite quickly.
Speaking of exciting title races,
we've got the Prem. And then also as well, we'll talk a bit of Scottish football. We've got the Scottish League Cup final this weekend.
It's a contractual obligation for me.
Absolutely. But anyways, we'll be back in just a second here on the Euro Show. Don't go anywhere.
Ever wanted a career in football? At the Global Institute of Sport, you can now study a master's degree in football business or football coaching and analysis right here in Australia. GIS is the largest provider of sports degrees in the UK with campuses at Wembley and Etihad Stadium. Learn online with unique access to the iconic MCG and a big-hitting Australian industry network. Be one of the first Australians to get a football master's degree and join GIS's global network of football leaders. Apply now to start in February 2023. Learn more at gis.sport/FNR. That's gis.sport/FNR.
Since 1998, Lanco Group has been providing superior civil engineering solutions and advice to developers, local government and service authorities across Australia. Lanco Group is known for delivering sustainable, efficient solutions. By working closely with clients,
Welcome back to the Euro Show here on FNR Football Nation Radio. Big show so far. We've gotten into plenty that's going on in Lega Serie A. Missed any of it. Massive title race coming to an end this weekend. Head over to our podcast platforms, Spotify, wherever you might get it. Catch up on that. We went through everything. Title race, relegation battle, top 4. It's all happening at the moment. We don't usually talk about the Premier Liga on the Euro show. We usually save that for its own program.
Usually the domain of Oscar Rutherford.
Oscar Rutherford, yeah. But Oscar is taking the week off. He's away. He's snowed in. We understand.
Not literally.
No,
that would be an abnormality in Australia.
He's snowed in under work. So we decided we're going to pick up the ball and run with it for this week and go.
Well, we kind of have to, given how good. Even if there was an EPL show on this week, I reckon we would have to steal
we have to
the
talk
talking
about
points.
it because last night I was going to bed and my phone started vibrating and it was the Athman.
Yeah.
And Athos Sirianos, former FNR, employee who stood in this seat or stood in this position many times.
He was more of a sitter traditionally, but I'll run with it.
Yep. Who used to remind us what the time was plenty of times.
Yes.
Get a message talking about Jared Bowen has scored for West Ham. And I thought, there's no way West Ham's winning. Check my phone. I'm like, oh my God.
They were.
Then they weren't just up 1-0, they're up 2-0. And in the end, well, it ended 2-2. Now, Mikel Antonio had the great chance to make it 3-1. Didn't take it. City go back up the other way, score. It means that the title race is still alive, barring Liverpool needs to win against their feeder club on Wednesday, Southampton on the road. Now, if history has served us correctly, when Liverpool have to go away for a midweek fixture on the second last game of the season where they have to win to stay alive, they tend to lose. It's a one-time sample size, thinking back to Dwight Gale for Crystal Palace, coming back from 2-0 down and knocking them off at Selhurst. I don't see that happening, that Liverpool's going to drop the bag. I see it's going to the final day.
I think so.
All I've got to say is I'm really sorry to all Liverpool fans saying this, but my God, wouldn't it be, I don't even want to say hilarious, but it would be kind of sad if it happened again for Liverpool fans. If again.
It would be sad, but it's just.
But they've won everything else, basically,
Yeah, but it's just such a different Liverpool team to the one that committed that atrocity.
That was a likable Liverpool team. It was likable, man.
Yeah, I mean,
who wanted that City team to win again? Like, Liverpool hadn't won anything.
No,
in years.
that's true. But like this is a completely different. This Liverpool side is a completely different beast. Like these guys are winners now. Like they are serial winners, pretty much. I think they're gonna have the they're gonna have the John Stones to hold on to
the John Stones
to victory at. Against Southampton.
I like that.
Which sets us up for a final day where there will be guaranteed simultaneous kickoffs in every game.
Yeah.
And potentially, barring that Southampton result for Liverpool, 1 point separating first and second. Not only that, Nick Tabano, we're going to have potentially as well, depending on the outcome of Arsenal taking on Newcastle. They play away
tomorrow morning.
Yeah, tomorrow morning at St James's Park, which is a very difficult game for Arsenal. They do currently have the 1 point, or they've got the game in hand over Tottenham. So they could restore their 1 point lead ahead of Spurs. It's a tough game, but if they do get the result, between third and fourth, we have a 1 point gap.
Well, third and fifth.
Between fourth and fifth, we would have
between third and fifth. It's a 2 point gap in that case. Chelsea could still drop out.
I guess that's true.
Chelsea are playing their second last game against Leicester on Friday. It would be bloody hilarious.
Can you imagine?
So, this is how the landscape looks right now. As you said, Liverpool needs to win. A draw, well, they're going to need a miracle on the final day. They're going to need a big win, and Aston Villa to win big as well.
Well,
a win.
Stevie G could do it. He could pull it out of the bag for them.
Well, yeah, of course. But Liverpool, they need to win. And it's simple.
100%.
Get the job done at St James's Park. Send it to the final day. Anything can happen on the final day. Chelsea, as mentioned, they play Leicester and then they play Watford at home on the final day. Watford are already relegated. As you mentioned, Lockie, relegated teams sometimes like to, throw a bit of a spanner in the works.
Imagine if Chelsea lost that game in hand and Tottenham and Arsenal.
It would be great. Donio Gonte and
I'm
Mikel.
Yeah, this is the question that I wanted to put to you, Nick. With potentially 1 point separating first and second, 1 point potentially separating a team who could be relegated, like a Leeds or an Everton and a Burnley, for example. There's still some catch-up games to be played there. And then those 3 London teams, or 3 of the London teams, duking it out for the final 2 Champions League places. I don't think we've had a final day in England as captivating as this one since
2012.
Like, is this the best one since 2011-12? I think it is.
Liverpool and City went to the final day, but I remember City were playing Brighton and Liverpool were playing
they had a 4-1 win. They steamrolled them, and there was a 1 point gap between Spurs and Arsenal, but it wasn't the same.
Nah, look, you know what? We're forgetting as well. United and West Ham are only separated by 2 points between 6th and 7th. And imagine if United made the Conference League instead of the Europa League.
Be funny.
Imagine the Hammers again in the Europa League.
The best outcome, Nick, always the funniest.
It's always comedy. So, on the final day, this is what we're looking at. Chelsea against Watford. Arsenal, should they beat Newcastle tomorrow, they'll be in 4th.
Everton, though.
Playing the Evertonians, who are desperate.
That is such a hard game.
Well, Everton could be safe by then.
That's true.
The hope is for Arsenal fans, such as yourself,
100%.
that Everton are safe by then. And obviously, Tottenham, they are in action against Norwich away. And Norwich are bottom. They're relegated. They're done. Tottenham should win that game. United and West Ham, we mentioned, they're battling for their own little prize. West Ham go to Brighton and United go to Crystal Palace. Now, down the bottom, so you've got Burnley on 34 points inside the relegation zone. Leeds on 35. They've played 1 extra game. And Everton on 36. They've got a game in hand on Leeds as well. So Everton play Palace on Friday. Then Arsenal. That game against Palace is at home. Burnley plays Aston Villa on Friday. Aston Villa has a massive say in how everything goes here. And then obviously on the final day, Leeds play Brentford away. And Burnley are in action against, where are you, Burnley? Where'd you go? Newcastle. So this is going to be big. Lockie.
I genuinely do not think you could have scripted
a better finish.
This set of outcomes better. The fact that...
Unless you had the 2 bottom teams in the relegation zone still alive as well.
Yeah, I guess that's true. But like, not just the infinitesimal gaps that could exist between teams in important places, but the fact that Manchester City would have to beat Aston Villa, who are coached by a Liverpool legend.
Yeah.
Like, if Steven Gerrard could pull that out of the bag and get the result against Man City to give Liverpool the title, that would be one of the most incredible stories in years.
You know what the only crap thing is, Lockie, is that if you're a football fan on Monday morning and you have to decide between the 2 title races, this is at 1 a.m. and the potential Serie A title race will be at 4:45. That's probably the reason why they won't want to go head-to-head with the Premier League. You're thinking about going head-to-head. You won't want to go head-to-head with the Premier League for eyeballs. What do you do as a football fan? If you're a neutral, you're a neutral, and you have the choice, I can either stay up till 3 a.m. and get through the Premier League slate, or I could get some sleep, wake up at 5, and watch the Serie A title race.
So it basically pretty much boils down to how many screens do you have available.
Yeah.
Go through your cupboard, check is there an iPod Touch, an iPod Nano.
Pull out the old...
An iPad, maybe.
Maybe you have a Nokia.
Yeah.
I don't know if Nokia can show
the first
You
step,
might even have the fridge. You know the fridge, how they show the TV on the
first step in this decision process is to work out how many screens you have available. If you've got 2, you're probably going the most important game from each of the title races.
Yeah.
So Milan against Sassuolo and Man City against Aston Villa. If you want to pick one.
So you're going no spoilers route with the City because they're not playing at the same time.
Actually, I'm probably going on to Optus and putting on Goal Rush.
Can you watch Goal Rush on replay?
Oh, wait, no. Aren't we talking about live, though?
Yeah, but you can't watch them both live because the Serie A title race, the Serie A games won't start till 4:45. Premier League's at 1.
Oh, sorry. I thought you meant they were all happening at the same time.
No.
Well, then you have a lot of coffee.
Yeah, you have to have a lot of coffee and just hope for the best. Or sleep until 1 a.m., get up, then go back to sleep for 2 hours, get back up again, and just put your body through torture and go to work the next day and hope for the best.
Oh, my God. I just realised as well, there's Formula 1 at 5:30 as well.
Well, I mean, if you want to run the gauntlet, you can have triple screen on
sorry,
KO.
it's at 11 p.m. So
Wow, I'll tell you what a night that is.
the Spanish
Formula
GP 11 p.m. and then rolling into the Premier League at 1. And then if you can withstand that sort of hour and 45-minute gap, you've got the Serie A title race following up.
And let me just
punch out the caffeine.
Let me check what else is on that night because I get a feeling
Pay
there's
the
another.
price with your body later.
Well, there's no like early kickoffs with, I don't believe with any like playoff games with the lower leagues. Oh, well, I mean, if you want, Sunderland's playing Wycombe Wanderers. Wait, no, that's the night before. That's 12 a.m. Sunday morning. Anyways, don't worry. That's the League One playoff final. But anyways.
Not for me, Jeff. Not for me.
Lockie, let's go bold between the two title races before we get into Scotland. Who wins the titles and every other one? I'll go first if you're still umming and ahhing.
Okay.
Salernitana survive.
Yep.
Milan
Wow,
wins.
that is a very big call, actually.
Milan wins the Scudetto. They get the job done. The fairy tale is complete. In the Premier League, City wins just, but there's a scare. Second Liverpool, third Chelsea, fourth Arsenal, fifth Tottenham.
Okay.
Relegation, the team that joins them, Burnley.
Ooh.
Burnley finally go
That's
down.
interesting. Okay, so we're going to have a little bit of...
Oh, and Manchester United don't make the Europa League. They've finished Conference League.
We're going to have a little bit of difference in here. Okay, so on the basis that I don't want to get thrown out the 15-story window that's behind us, podcast listeners, in our recording room, there's a window right behind us. Serie A title race, I'm going to say Milan are the victors of that particular one. No confirmation as to whether I meant AC or Inter, but anyway. Moving swiftly along. I think Cagliari are going to stay up.
Wow.
And get there over the line on head-to-head after Salernitana draw with Udinese.
That'd be really sad.
And then in England, I do think that Manchester City are going to get it done.
Mm-hmm.
I think that the final two Champions League spots will go to Chelsea and Spurs. I think
Not backing in the lads.
I think I just can't see Arsenal extracting maximum points from both the games. If Newcastle away, last home game of the season is so difficult. We've seen Arsenal struggle at Newcastle previously. Although they have gone there in years gone by and gotten a result. But the other thing is, if Everton is still a chance of relegation on the final day, that's going to be such a hard game. I just don't know if they can extract 6 points from both of those games, which is what they need. And then relegation, I really hate to say this.
Leeds.
I really hate to say this, but I think Burnley are going to survive.
Wow.
I think they're going to do it, and I think Leeds are going to go down.
Wow.
And I do not like to say that, but I
neither.
just have this unshakable feeling that Burnley they're just going to get there. They're just going to bleep house their way over the line, and that'll be enough.
Lockie, before we go, because we're about to run out.
United Conference League as well.
Scottish League Cup final. Also, congratulations to Ange Postecoglou for wrapping up the Scottish Premier League title. Fantastic effort. Got the job done in midweek. Fantastic scenes on the weekend as well in their last game of the season against Motherwell.
I mean, I nearly cried listening to Ange, and I'm a Hearts fan. So I hate Celtics.
Are Hearts going to get the job done, or will Rangers potentially do a double this week and win the Europa League and win the Scottish League Cup as well?
Okay, this has been really conflicting for me because obviously on the one hand, I want Rangers to lose at every available opportunity with respect to the Europa League final. But on the other hand, I'm all for the advancement of the global brand that is Scottish football. So I really don't know which option I want more here. I probably want, from a Hearts perspective exclusively, I probably want Rangers to win the Europa League against Eintracht Frankfurt because they will...
On the basis that you win?
On the basis that they will spend the next 3 days partying like madmen, hopefully, and then Hearts can get the job done in the Scottish Cup final on Saturday. I hope it goes to extra time or penalties, and Rangers somehow manage to pull it off. Good for them, woohoo for Scottish football. And then Hearts just, can waltz through and get the Scottish Cup on the Saturday.
Lockie, I'm saying Hearts are going to win it. Hearts are going to win the Scottish League Cup final. And I'm going to say Eintracht Frankfurt win the Europa League.
Bit of superstition. Liverpool 2006,
Yep.
Won the FA Cup on penalties.
Yep.
Same year, Hearts won the Scottish Cup on penalties in 2006.
So you're saying Lightning might strike twice?
Well, Liverpool have won 2022. Liverpool have won the FA Cup on penalties. Who knows what's going to happen this Saturday?
Shall see.
I'm not casting a bet either way.
Next week, it's going to be crazy. We could have 2 bits of silverware between us.
Man, this show will peak next Monday if that is what happens.
It will be fantastic. So make sure
the level of swagger in this room is going to be uncontrollable.
Unbelievable scenes. But anyways, Lockie, it's time for us to say goodbye. Miss any of the show? Head over to our podcast platforms, catch up with all of that. Plenty we touched on throughout the show, all sorts of the title race news, Premier League, Serie A, Scottish League Cup final. To be honest, we couldn't get through everything tonight, but we'll get through more of it hopefully next week when we know more about who's come out on top in the respective leagues and cup finals and everything else. But stay tuned. Just around the corner in a few minutes' time, Paco Radio airing at a special time, 7 p.m. tonight here on FNR Football Nation Radio. We've got a few special guests joining us. Don't want to miss this one. You really don't want to miss tonight's show.
The stories we had come out of last week's Paco Radio with Alex Cobo and his journey were awesome. So I'm looking forward to what narratives you can unearth this week, Nick.
So we've got Tona back in the studio this week, along with Pepi Colakovski. You might remember that, might know that last name. They might ring a bell. Along with Nick Katsis as well. They are 3 of the longest serving members of the Pascoe Vale Football Club. Plenty of stories, plenty to get through, so we'll get into that in a few minutes' time. But for myself, Nick Tabano, Lockie Flanagan, enjoy the final week of European football, guys, from a league perspective. And we'll be back again next Monday to bring you all the review, all the excitement. It could be a very sad show. It could be a very happy show.
It will be a very tired show as well.
Oh, mate, I'm feeling it right now.
We will do our best.
We'll get through it. But anyways, we'll be back again next Monday. But for Nick and Lockie, it's goodbye for now.
Sometimes I feel, I don't know.
Buona giornata, buona serata, buona giornata.
There's not really time to relax and take an espresso for Juventus.
You thought I forgot about you, didn't you? You thought I forgot about you, didn't you? Attaccare!